Good morning, everybody. It has been forever since I have recorded a video. I was reminded of that by my brother this week. So I am making today a lemon bundt cake. So I have all my equipment out. I have all my ingredients out, and I'm going to get started. So one of the first things I have is my bundt pan. It's a 10-inch bundt pan. It holds about 4.5 cups of batter, so that's what we're going to make this morning. Whenever I bake with a bundt, I always put it on a sheet pan that's lined for easy cleanup, just in case anything happens to flow over, which it doesn't always do, but sometimes it does. I have my large mixing bowl, which I'm going to mix my ingredients in, but first I'm going to measure everything that I need as I go along. So one of the things I will do is tare my bowl to see how much it weighs as I put things in it, and then I will measure by weight, except for butter, because 2 sticks of butter. So today you will see me use salt, which everybody knows I don't typically use salt, but for some reason in my grocery order this week, they gave me unsalted butter. Typically I use salted butter, and that's why I use little to no salt in my cooking, because there's already salt in the butter and other ingredients. But today there is no salt in the butter. So I have 2 sticks, and the recipe will be in the comments under the video for everybody. So today I have 2 sticks of butter. I'm going to cream it, and this is one of the things that people sometimes make a mistake with baking, is the creaming of the butter. It has to be light and fluffy. So this is going to make a lot of noise. Sorry about that. Let's get that done. So, I wish I could down the noise, I feel like my butter, because my house temperature is so low, it's like 40 degrees outside today, which is a heat wave here. It's a false spring, as I like to call it, where it's like, okay, I'm going to go down to 32 at night and come back up to 60 and then go down to 40, and it just keeps changing. So my butter is pretty much creamed. I'm doing 1 pass hands. You'll know when your butter is creamed because it's light. It changes color. Creaming it changes the texture of the butter. It adds more air into your mix. It makes it easier for other ingredients to incorporate. Your butter should be at room temperature, and most people, when they say room temperature in a recipe for butter, is somewhere in the 70s. But in my house, it's in the 60s. The butter never gets truly soft unless it's sitting over by the oven when the oven is heating up, which this butter did not. So my butter is creamed. Okay. I keep my tools in my bundt pan because it's easier. And then to this creamed butter, like I said, I've got my recipe printed out. I'm going to be going through it, and then I'm going to copy this, put it down on the YouTube comment section for everyone. My oven is preheating at 350. I got my 10-inch pan. They say to sift the flour and the cornstarch together. Let me go ahead and go through the list of ingredients that we will be using. I've got them all right here where you can see, and I will move them over to the back counter as I'm done with them. So I have cornstarch. This recipe calls for cornstarch. It helps make a lighter batter. I have baking soda. Salt, of course, like we just discussed. I have my homemade vanilla, which is vodka that has been soaking in vanilla beans. Lisa and I went through probably 5 bottles of this winter baking cookies. So this is a newer batch. This batch is only about 3 months old. Typically my vanilla sits for a year. I've got canola oil to spray the pan. I've got the cornstarch that's required. I've got all-purpose flour. I've got 4 eggs at room temperature, and I'll explain why they're at room temperature in a second. And then I've got organic sugar. I don't use bleached white sugar. I use organic sugar. It's a little less processed. It is a different color. It's like a tan, but I think it's better because it's not bleached for one, and it's not as heavily processed. Eggs at room temperature. You have eggs at room temperature because their viscosity is different. What that means is they're not as sticky or glutinous, as the scientific term would be. They break down easier in the batter. When you have eggs that are cold, the white itself is almost gelatin style, like when you crack an egg. If you crack an egg that's at room temperature and an egg that's been in the refrigerator, you'll notice a difference in the whites. So it's the viscosity. Like the butter, you want it softer, more malleable. All right, so I need a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And the one thing I hate about cornstarch is that it's kind of like powdered sugar. Let me get a bowl. In the fact that it's very light and soft, and it will go all over your kitchen. There's no way around it. So I have my handy dandy Azari scale. I've had this scale for about 10 years. I will put my heavy glass bowl, my anchor hocking bowl, on top of the scale, and then I'll do what's called tare, which brings it down to 0 weight. So now I need 30 grams of cornstarch. So I'm going to start putting it in there. Just mix 7. There we go, exactly 30 grams. I'm going to put my cornstarch over to the back, and I'll put it away later. And with the 30 grams of cornstarch, I need 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, or 334 grams. I like to do it by weight. So we're going to put this bowl here for a minute. I need to get a bigger bowl. Well, here, let's just go ahead and do this. I'm going to put this here with the butter in it. This is 374 grams. I'm going to tare it out to 0, and then I'm going to take this bowl with the cornstarch, dump the cornstarch into the bowl, bring this up, and go ahead and scoop out 344 grams of flour. Flip it over. It's amazing when you're doing it by grams. It's just like the littlest amounts. Fingerfuls. There we go, 344. All right, some cornstarch stuck to the bottom of my bowl. I was aware it was there, so I'm gonna get it out of the bottom of the bowl now. All right, so I've done that. Put that in with my creamed butter. Now I can take my flour, oops, put it away, get it out of the way. This cake, it's really super easy because you literally are mixing all of the ingredients at the same time. You're not step by stepping it, do this, do that. There's a few steps, but it's not as hard. So I need a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. And I'm going to need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. All right. These two can go over here. I'm just getting my ingredients. Let's see, I got my butter. I need 1 3/4 cups of granulated sugar. Again, this is my organic sugar. I can't show it to you, but it is lighter. So 1 3/4 cups of this. I'm going to tare my scale out so it went back to 0. Oops, let me move this out of there. It's going to go back to 0. So I need 350 grams of sugar. It seems like a lot, but when you're working with citrus, you have to sweeten the citrus. Okay. Oops, a tad over. And again, with grams, it's literally just fingerfuls. Like a quarter of a teaspoon, it will make all the difference in the world. There it is, 350. All right. Let's put the lid on this. Move it aside. And yes, I have huge containers because we just came out of our holiday baking season, so I'm trying to finish up all of the dry ingredients, the flour, the sugar, things like that, so I can restock the pantry. All right, so the next ingredient, move this over here, back to the platform. I'm going to kind of just run through this real quick with the butter and the sugar and the flour and everything, and kind of blend it together with a wooden spoon. Because the next thing I'm going to add in is buttermilk. I don't have it out because it doesn't have to be at room temperature. I'm just going to kind of cream this together the best I can by hand. Okay. I'm going to get my 4 eggs. So I have measuring cups for the buttermilk. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to mix the buttermilk and the eggs together. Get my buttermilk. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, and you have regular milk, you can just take regular milk and add like a tablespoon of white vinegar to it. Let it sit for a minute, and it will make buttermilk. So, let's see, I need 240, so 1 cup, or 240 milliliters. I didn't change my scale. Okay. 1 cup. So a trick that I use when measuring in a cup, because you can't really see where you're measuring on the line if you're standing over it, is to turn your cup, so I know where my 1 cup measure is. Turn your cup so the red line is away from you. And that way, when you're pouring, you can see when you hit that red line. That's just a little tip. The difference between Pyrex and Pyrex, I think this is a fun one. This is Pyrex with all capital letters, and this is Pyrex with little letters. The company split years ago, and they both maintained the name Pyrex. They're not made by the same company. This Pyrex is kind of bluish in color. It is the newer version of Pyrex. This is the original version of Pyrex. If I had to choose between the two of them, if I was out thrifting at a thrift store, I would pick up the older Pyrex every single time because it's going to last a lot longer. The glass quality is different. Like I said, you can see this is kind of blue, this is clear when you're looking at it. So when you're out thrifting and you see little Pyrex, leave it. You see big Pyrex, grab it. All right, so I've got my buttermilk. I'm going to add my eggs. And I just like to do this. I'm going to throw these in here. Because I like to mix my eggs and any liquid before I put it into the batter. Just because I think it mixes better once you've got it set up. I'd hate to think that there might be like a lump of egg white in my cake somewhere. All right, so my eggs are done. Put these in the sink. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a fork and I'm just gonna whip that up real quick. Izzy, stop digging. Izzy's in the backyard and she's digging holes. And I can see her. Isabella, stop digging. All right, so you can see I pretty much have my eggs whisked in. I gotta put my salt into, I'm gonna put my salt in here. And that's a teaspoon. And that way I make sure it gets mixed. So for me, I'm sorry, I just always do this. I'm gonna make sure it gets mixed. I need my vanilla, which is 2 teaspoons. And again, I just judge. 1, 2, okay. You can see my vanilla beans floating around in that jar with the vodka. Okay, that's back there. So I now have, with the exception of the lemons, all of my ingredients. You ready to come in? I'm going to go ahead and pour all of this in with the dry ingredients. And then I'm going to mix, and it's going to make a lot of noise. So I apologize for that in advance. I need this for the lemons. The last thing I'm going to put in is the lemons. Get a real quick hand mix on this before I turn on the mixer. Okay. You'll see how quick this batter just comes together. You know, in some recipes there is a reason why you mix the ingredients one step at a time, but I find with this cake it's just as easy just to do the duck method. It's not a duck cake. It'll mix just fine. Sorry, it's allergy season and I'm just struggling to breathe this morning. I have taken my allergy pills. I swear the Bartlett pear trees are trying to kill me. Restocked all my N95 masks. I don't use them because of COVID. I use them because when I go to walk the dogs outside, and the Bartlett pears are blooming, I need to wear it. Got my mixer on a high speed. In a KitchenAid, or you can mix it with a food processor. I don't think you can overbeat this batter. It's going to come up kind of like a pound cake when it's done. It's going to be moister than a regular cake. Okay. Now, I'll get the taste of it. Right now it just tastes like a lovely vanilla cake. Let me clean up my surface. Try to clean as I go. Okay, now I need my lemons. So there's a lot of ways to do this. Everybody has their own tool. I have one of the lemon squeezers that are the rage, which I'm a little confused with because I see a lot of times people have the lemon squeezer, the lime squeezer, and the orange squeezer. I don't think you need, and they're different colors. Yellow for lemon, green for lime, and orange for orange. Outside of an orange, you know, because an orange is not going to fit in the lemon squeezer. But a lime will fit in here, by the way. So I don't see a reason for having so many different. I'm trying to find my zester, because we need zest. So we're going to need, how much is it? Let's see. The zest, about 1/4 cup. Okay, got my zester. If you don't have a zester, you can chop up the lemon peel and put it through a food processor to chop it very finely. I have a zester, so I am literally just going to zest this lemon. You don't want the white pith if you can avoid it. That's why I'm just trying to check, and it smells so good when you do this. I love the smell of fresh citrus. I'm not going to worry about what happens to the lemon, because the juice of this lemon is going to be going right into the cake. And I may do a little bit more juice or zest. Probably zest. Zest, I think, gives more flavor in the cake. So another thing you can do with this recipe is you could add poppy seeds to the batter if you wanted to. I'll put that step in the comments as well. It's about 1/4 cup of poppy seeds if you want poppy seeds in it. I'm not doing the poppy seeds because I'll be making a blueberry compote with this cake. That's going to be frozen blueberries, a little bit of water, maybe just a couple teaspoons or tablespoons, probably tablespoons of water, probably 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I have to test the blueberries first to see how sweet they are. I base the amount of sugar I use on the blueberries that I'm using. So zest of, it's typically 3 large lemons. This is the zest we're going to need to get. And we need the juice of 2 of these lemons. So the 3rd lemon I'll save and I'll juice it to go into iced tea today. Never throw it away. Just like I won't throw these skins away after they've been juiced and zested. I will be freezing 2 of them, or 3 of them, depending, because these are pretty small lemons. I might do a little more. I will be juicing them, and then I will take the skins and put them in the freezer. Why will I do that? Because I like to use the lemon skin to clean my dishwater or my garbage disposal. So when it's getting a little funky smell, that you've used it a lot, I typically will chop up a lemon skin into little pieces and throw it through the garbage disposal with some ice and let it run. And it cleans it out. It gives it a great smell. You could throw some salt in there and a little baking soda as well if you wanted to. I just tend to use the lemon and the ice. I think the salt helps in the grinding process. All right, so I have 4 lemons. So I have about 1/4 cup of zest. I want to make sure I get all that zest. I am not letting any of that zest go to waste. Okay, so I will put this in the sink. I don't need it anymore. I've got the zest right here. You can see it's light, it's fluffy. It's going into my mix, along all over the breakfast bar. The reason I went ahead and put it right onto my wood cutting board is the oil in the lemon is good for my wood cutting board. I will clean this right after this, and I will be putting that lemon oil to use in cleaning of my cutting board. All right, so I've used 4 lemons because mine were small. Got my cup. I'm going to cut my lemons in half now. Now you could use, like I said, you can use this. I have seen people use forks to juice their lemons. I've seen people throw them in the microwave. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. But like I said, I'm keeping these. Okay. So I'm just going to, this is easy. I have a reamer. I love my little wood lemon reamer. But the problem I have with it is seeds, which I'm seeing right here. I don't like seeds in my lemon juice. So I'm going to cut all these. Get them. I need 1/4 cup. Juice of 2, about 1/2 cup is what it says. So again, turn your, I see where my 1/2 cup marker is, it's 4 ounces. I'm going to turn it to there. And I'm going to keep squeezing until I get to 4 ounces. If I have to squeeze a few more lemons, that tells me I probably need to squeeze or get a little more zest in there as well. Okay. You can see my 4-ounce line. Still see it. Getting closer. Might take 1 more lemon. Because like I said, these were pretty small. These were ordered through Instacart, so I didn't pick them. I would have picked larger lemons, but I got them through Instacart, so the shopper picked what she thought was best. I'm telling you, that's what I'm going to do when I retire. I'll become an Instacart shopper. All right, we need more juice. So I'm going on 5th lemon. Some seeds have made it through the holes of the juicer, so we'll have to fix that. I'm gonna need one more lemon. That's how small these lemons are. Wow. Okay. Like I said, they're pretty small. I would say they're almost lime size. All right, right about at the line. Okay. That is right at the line. So let me put my juicer over here. Now, I'm going to take my lemons. Let me get this bowl. Like I said, I'm saving all of these lemon peels to go in the freezer. They'll be used for other things. So I'm going to go right there. Okay. Let me wipe up my mess. I'm not the prettiest baker or cook when it comes to messes, but I do like to clean up after myself as I'm going along. All right, I got a lemon down here. It's going to go right into the garbage disposal this morning. Okay, got all that. So now, I'm just going to double check myself. I've got my buttermilk, my lemon zest. I'm getting ready to add my lemon juice. I'm going to do some whipping when I add that. Okay. All right, I'm gonna hopefully make sure no seeds. So I'm gonna pour it through my hand to make sure that the seeds don't travel into the cake. Because who wants seeds in their cake? My hands are clean, by the way. Little baby seeds that actually made it all the way through the juicing process. Okay. One of them just made it through the cake batter. So, I'm gonna have to, there's a whole bunch of them in here. I have to dig that out. I don't have a fine mesh strainer to stop these. Let's see, what can I use? Huh. No, it's gonna have to be my hand. Try this. Note to self, get a fine mesh strainer that's cup size. Seeds. Wow. I didn't realize that many got through the... You can buy seedless lemons. Okay. There's a whole passel of seeds down there. Here they come. All right. It's amazing that that many seeds, there's probably like 20 seeds at the bottom of this, got through and will end up in the batter. I see two. Rascal, you're fine. All my animals this morning. What is something going on with the moon? All right. Lemon zest. I'm gonna put this spoon in. Those seeds in. I hate the fact that they made it into the batter. But hopefully no one else did. I'm gonna whip it. Oh, by the way, if you didn't have buttermilk, another acid that you could use to make buttermilk is lemon juice. Which is really good. take the beaters off. Move that over to there. Put these in the sink. I'm going to rinse my hands down real fast. Get lemon juice on. All right. Oh, what a mess. Like I said, I'm not the neatest of bakers, but it usually turns out really good. So, all right. And sorry, I'm in my own kitchen. I'm not wearing gloves. All right. Trick into spraying your pans when you're baking. One of the tricks that I learned is over the sink, but then your sink gets all greasy and then you gotta wash your sink. So, dishwasher, open it, put your pan over it, spray. When you're spraying a Bundt pan, you gotta make sure you get every piece of that Bundt pan sprayed. All right. Spraying it over the dishwasher like that puts any overspray in the dishwasher, and then when you run your dishwasher, it gets clean. You don't have to worry about cleaning it. I need a spatula. So I have all kinds of little, I'm a redundant baker. I have, for every tool I have 2 or 3 versions of it, just for my personal use. All right, I'm just going to whip it by hand real quick. Wash down the sides with the spatula. Screw up the bottom a little bit. Make sure it's all down there. When I get through and this cake goes in the oven, I'm going to put this video on pause while the cake bakes. And then I will, while the cake is cooling, make the blueberry compote. And I'll show you how to do that. So for now, I'm just going to pour my batter into, and like I said, it's a runny batter, you can see that. It's got a lot of liquid in it. It's going to make for a very moist cake. One of the things you can do with this cake is make a soaking sauce. So a soaking sauce is, or drizzle, so it has 2 things you can do. You can do a drizzle and you can do a soaking sauce. A soaking syrup is just basically powder or regular sugar and lemon juice. And you're going to cook it over the stove, heat it up, and then as the cake cools, you'll drizzle it over the cake so it soaks into the cake. A lot of professional bakeries, when they're making cakes, will use a simple syrup because their cakes are dry. And you'll see them on the TV and stuff. They have those jars and they're putting the simple syrup over their cake before they frost it. That's to add moisture back into the cake because their cake is dry. The cakes that I make don't tend to be dry, so I'm going to skip the simple syrup step. And I'm going to, well, I might do a light lemon glaze just because we're going to add blueberry and not everybody's going to eat blueberry. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in a preheated 350-degree oven. There we go. There we go, baby. All right. We're going to set a timer for 45 minutes. All right, let me check let me make sure I have that right. Oh, yeah. So it's going to bake. Let's go ahead and Alexa, set a timer for 40 minutes. I'm going to check it. If it needs a little more time at 40 minutes, I'll give it the extra 5. Everybody's oven is different, so I always recommend that you check your oven when you're baking. One of my rules of thumb is if I can smell it, it's almost done. So, all right, I'm going to pause this video and we'll be back in a little bit. Sorry, I have to walk off camera. I'm only one person. I don't have a camera assistant. So we're going to pause. So this is part 2. And I'm going to try and get this wrapped up pretty quick. So I got the cake out of the oven about 10-15 minutes ago. I need a small pot. Let me dig that up. All right, here we go. Small pot. I'm only going to put in, I'm not going to make a ton of blueberry compote because, you know, we use a ton of blueberry compote. So in my freezer I had about 1/4 of a And then a full bag of Season's Choice frozen blueberries. I get these from Aldi. They're unsweetened. So that's why I said, you know, we're going to add sugar. We're not going to add a ton of sugar. And pour them right into the pot. That's about a cup. If I were to measure it out, which is sorry, I don't necessarily measure when I'm making compote. Someone tasted this a couple weeks ago and was like, wow, this would make a great blueberry jam. It's pretty much some of the steps. And then I'm going to add another cup. And freeze these blueberries. Put them back in the freezer. Then I'm going to add about half a cup of sugar. I'm going to taste one of the frozen blueberries. I gotta let the dog out, sorry. Life. Go, no digging. Okay. So I'm going to add about a half a cup of the organic sugar that I use. Again, that's the not heavily bleached. And again, I'm not measuring, I'm just pouring. It's about a half a cup. Okay. And then I'm going to add about, we'll give the juice of a full lemon. Okay, let me get this cut. I put my knife away. Let's get the knife. All right. I'm going to add the juice of a full lemon. My reamer. This is what's called a reamer for fruit. It's made out of wood. You could get them made out of plastic. Mine happens to be made out of wood. I've had this one probably 15 years. You just go into the fruit, push the juice out. These lemons, again, have a lot of seeds, so I'm going to have to pick those out. Get as many as I can right off the bat. There we go. All right, and these work great. You just have one fruit to juice. All right, that's done. When I get a fork and get those seeds out, because we don't want seeds. What's good is the blueberries are frozen, so it's making it pretty easy to get the seeds out. There we go. Not that many. I should have done this over a bowl, and I could have done it. I wasn't expecting this many seeds, but I should have, because the lemons that I used in the cake had this many seeds. So should not be shocked by the amount of seeds that I'm seeing. Okay. All right, we're going to turn this on a medium heat. There we go. Sink. That in the sink. Put the puppy away from it. Going to use a spatula. And if I know what I want, there it is. All right. And we're literally just going to heat this up, stir it. I would recommend waiting a few seconds for the blueberries to warm up a little bit, and then tasting one to see if you need to add more sugar. Sometimes the blueberries are sweeter. I guess it's where they're more ripe, they're going to be sweeter. These blueberries, some of the new bag were extremely large. Still finding seeds, sorry. And they're not as blue, so I can only assume they're not going to be as sweet. And yeah, I'm still picking out seeds. My bad, I should have put the lemon over a bowl and picked the seeds out. All right. So I think we're at a place where I can taste test. I want to taste one of the larger ones. Definitely not sweet, but I think I have enough sugar with a half a cup. I'm just going to heat this up. It's just like making cranberry sauce. Most people don't realize just how easy it is to make cranberry sauce. It's just fresh cranberries, some sugar, and orange juice. and you will get the best cranberry sauce you've ever had. And I know that there's people that love that canned cranberry with the rings around it. I know a member of my family that loves that cranberry. I'm not a fan. I never have been. But my mom used to buy it for this person. And that's, you know, everyone has their preference. Like, I once made lasagna for a friend, and she was like, I didn't want to say your lasagna wasn't that great, but I like Stouffer's frozen lasagna, and that's because it's a food memory. That's what she enjoys. So that told me to myself, do not make lasagna for that person again. Love her to death, but I also know that I shouldn't make lasagna for her. Like, I shouldn't make chipped cream beef for another person that I love because they like the Stouffer's version. Although I tried that the other day, and it really has gone downhill. It's not anywhere near as good as it used to be. Because I used to love that. My dad loved that. Mom would make toast and put that over it. But it has really gone downhill. I think Stouffer's itself is just not as good a quality as it used to be. So the blueberries have defrosted. They're releasing their juices. The syrup is really pretty purpley blue. It's really funny because the ones that I put in from the bag that was already open are very small, and the blueberries from the new bag are very large. So it's interesting. I don't know if they were, well, they're definitely different fields, because I can't imagine, or different farmers, I can't imagine the blueberries coming across that different in size in one field. I mean, it's almost like small grape size compared to pea size, but that's okay. It's not going to affect the compote. Now, if you were a person that wanted to flambe this, you could add some alcohol to it in a saucepan or fried pan, and then flambe it before you serve it, you know, for the fun, the effect. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make sure all the sugar is melted and pushed down from the sides of the dish. And the reason I use a stainless steel pan is blueberry juice will stain, and it'll stain a white pan. It'll stain everything it touches. It's great for dyes if you wanted to create a natural dye. And I do have somewhere in the house freeze-dried fruit that I use sometimes in making colors for like dyeing eggs and stuff instead of using food dye, because I like the natural. I have all kinds of colors. I have mango, which makes a pretty light orange, and I have lemon and lime and raspberry and kiwi, all freeze-dried. Raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, peach, acai fruit, dragon fruit. Now, as you're stirring this, kind of push down on some of the blueberries. You don't want them all smashed, but you want some smashed. All right, I think that's ready to come off the heat. What we're going to do is put it in a bowl so it will cool, because we want it cool when we put it on the cake. Plus, it'll thicken up as it cools. So we're just going to pour this right in here. It's so went from frozen blueberries to this beautiful, beautiful purple blueberry compote. And as it cools, the pectin, the natural pectin from the fruit, will help thicken it up. Okay? So that's got to thicken before we can use it on the cake. Now the cake has got to come out of its pan. We don't want to leave it in there all day. So it's still warm. And I'm hoping I did well with the spray. And I hit every piece of my cake pan. And the moment of truth. How am I going to do this? Best way to do this. This hand. And this. There, I heard the release. I heard the thump. So that tells me that the cake released beautifully, not a piece of it. Beautiful. All right. Here's our lemon cake. And as it cools, and as the blueberries cool, I'm going to pour it over the cake. Actually, let's go ahead and do a piece now. I made this for tomorrow for dinner, but I do want to show you guys how it looks when it's done. And so I'm just going to do a small piece. Trick with a Bundt cake is you can take out one of the little small pieces. There we go. Because it's still really, really warm. And again, you can push it back together. No one will know if you frost it. If you put a white icing right there, no one will know you cut that piece out. All right. So I'm going to leave this up here because I want it to completely cool. But for you guys, I'll take some of my blueberries and put it on top. Just like that. And there you go. Lemon pound cake in a Bundt with blueberry compote. The blueberry's going to be really, really hot, so this is going to... Perfect. Perfect combination. The cake is super moist. Blueberries are not too sweet. It will be 100% better when both are cooled. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching.